5 questions for Southside Wrestling Entertainment's YouTube channel, and I am joined by the product himself, David Starr. David, thank you very much for joining us here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
First question then, how's your Southside experience been?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I've wanted to come to Southside for a while. I'm sure you could probably hear about that in the back. No, I really wanted to be here, and I was really happy that I got to debut here and wrestle here. It was a lot of fun.
So, with that being said then, do you have a knowledge and an interest in British wrestling and what's going on here in this country at the moment?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I always have. I really got into catch-style wrestling and the world of sports stuff, and I really like watching Jim Breaks, and I like watching Terry Rudge and Marty Jones. I've always liked those kind of guys. And then obviously the British scene right now is just really, really big, with a lot of big companies coming up and getting a lot of attention. European wrestling is making its way to the States as well. So you got to be in Europe. So of course I'm looking at British wrestling all the time.
It's really nice to hear, because obviously there's a lot of people working really hard in Britain and things. Yeah. To hear that it's getting noticed, and I know Marty Jones will love hearing that. He will love it.
Awesome. Marty Jones versus Terry Rudge is my favorite World of Sport match.
He'll see this. Right?
Yeah.
He will watch this.
Oh, okay. Well, that's my favorite World of Sport match. Seriously, I've watched that for what wrestling is. It's a perfect match to me.
And the flip side of that, from where you're from obviously Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
What's the wrestling scene like over there? Because obviously Philadelphia, there's the huge ECW stigma.
Yeah.
Is that still alive and well there, or is that slowly disappearing?
Well, there's not many companies that run directly in Philadelphia anymore. But there's at one point you had Chikara and CZW, and you had Ring of Honor started in Philadelphia. Yeah. There's a lot of great wrestling history in Philadelphia, and that area is so close to all the other ones too, because New York has one, but you can drift from Philly to New York for a show or two, you know what I mean? It's only 2 hours away. And then even you can go south. Maryland MCW has a really good wrestling scene, and then there's so much good wrestling all over, and it branches, and Philadelphia is the one spot where it's not too far to go to New England, and it's not too far to go to North Carolina, or Virginia. There's great wrestling all throughout, Philadelphia being the centerpiece.
How did you first get into professional wrestling then?
I became a fan when I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
I watched WrestleMania 12 with Shawn and Brett, and that was amazing to me. And that just captivated me entirely. And then I started wrestling when I was 7, amateur wrestling or folk style wrestling, and then I did that all the way through university. When I was done university, I went to the Wild Zone Training Center after being inspired by CM Punk pipe bomb promo, because I decided I was just going to do it. I was always the fan. I thought I could always do it, and I wrestled because I liked pro wrestling. Tried it, and then things kind of picked up from there.
What was that training center like?
The Wild Zone Training Center? It was awesome. I mean, I got the hell beat out of me. But the way you should. In a good way, I got the hell beat out of me quite a bit. I was always taking the big throws and stuff. Big guys needed to. It was a big guy school. I needed to throw people around. I was that dude, and that's fine. It was a great experience. I was the fastest graduate ever in the Wild Zone Training Center. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, did you find it difficult to go from amateur wrestling to professional wrestling? Because a few people I've interviewed have said they had to learn to slow down and show emotion.
Of course.
But then you said you were the fastest graduate. Did you find it difficult, or did you just adapt to it?
One, to be perfectly honest, if I the way that I wrestle now is I sucked then. I was terrible. But the thing was, I wouldn't have been ready to go out there and do a match without any communication. I wouldn't have been able to do that then. No chance. But I also didn't wrestle like I wrestled in college. I wrestled like a pro wrestler. And that's what I was learning, and I wanted to be that.
Okay.
I didn't really start integrating my my background into it until a year and a half ago. So that's kind of when I started doing that, and that was based on talking to Loki and Drew Gulak and a couple other people who told me to start utilizing it. And actually Shane Strickland. Shane Strickland was another one who was really big on me starting to really dip into my background and not be so focused on pro wrestling. So yeah, and just go into everything.
And it's a big thing in the world of wrestling at the moment, isn't it? That the UFC has kind of introduced different styles going against each other, and it's filtered its way into wrestling. Did you find that?
Yeah, well, I think it's I think pro wrestling is awesome. Pro wrestling is gorgeous, if it's beautiful, if you can tell a story. Like again, like I said, the Marty Jones and Terry Rich match, like that match to me is exactly what pro wrestling is. Like, or the idea of what pro wrestling is. You know what I mean? Because I think there's great versions of pro wrestling all over. But like the idea, in theory, the sport of wrestling. That's what that is. Yes. So I think. I don't know. Now I'm like fucking stunned. I'm stunned.
It's alright, it's good.
Stunned. So, I don't know, that's just like my idea of wrestling.
That's fair enough,
That's what I'm getting at. That to me is exactly what it should be. And then, what was the question I'm trying to answer again? I got totally off target. Whatever. I love that kind of wrestling, and that's what I think it could be, and that's what I really
It was talking about the different styles being
and MMA and stuff like that, how that came into
yes,
it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, MMA is popular, and you have to make things more believable and stuff. You have to work on your craft. Like, so, yeah, it's great. I think it's a good influence. But it has influenced the business and the way that fans look at the business.
Final question now. We're at the end of 2016 right now. If we are lucky enough to have you back here in Southside in a year's time, where do you want your career to have gone from this point to 365 days in the future?
I don't know. I can't, say, I want to... I want this place to book me. I want this place to book me. Because I can't control that. So I try to focus on what I can and what I can control. And I just want to be better, every day. So, every day I want to learn something or get a little better than I was the day before. That's all I can really do. And then, from that point, just try and make myself undeniable.
Excellent. David Starr, thank you very much. And I wish you a happy new year.
Oh, thanks, man. You too.